Holocaust, so they think he made it. He's Christian, he gave us life, but he still ain't satisfied in the Savior Christ. Still finds his identity in books and cars. If he only knew that he had to look so hard, if he looked at God, it makes him odd.
With the proliferation of institutions of higher learning in Kenya in the recent past, debate is rife as to whether it's necessary for Kenyans to go abroad for further studies.
Oh man, here I want to thank the Kenyan community. Years back, 15 years ago, we had only a few universities. We had Nairobi University, we had Kenyatta, and then we had Moi. And then Maseno came in. Maseno came in as a branch of Moi, and now it's a university in itself. Now we have so many universities. In fact, recently when I traveled home, I found out that Bondo, which I'm coming from Bondo is my constituency. I found out that Bondo Teachers College has been converted to be a branch of Maseno University. I go to Kisumu, I found everyone is trying to get education there. Yesterday I was with the Vice Chancellor of KCA, Professor Walter Noah Midamba. And Midamba told me that there are so many universities in Kenya. Now, the biggest reason why people come to United States is because they want to get the education. That's good. That should still be the biggest reason. Then it was because we did not have enough. But now we have, and some are still coming. Some are still coming, and some will still come.
With just about 4 universities in the 80s, Kenya currently boasts of having more than 10 universities, churning out thousands of graduates every year.
At this point in history, my answers are yes and no. Yes, in the sense that if there are kind of expertise that we need that we cannot achieve in our country, then we better seek them somewhere else. But before we seek them somewhere else, we must ask ourselves a few questions. That how relevant to our country are those areas of expertise that we are going to seek? Number 2, how affordable is it to go and seek it outside our country? Number 3, what will be the return to the individual seeking this and to the country who might be interested in sponsoring such endeavors? So we must weigh the cons and the pros before we make the move. On the other side, we have courses that can be taken in Kenya at a lesser cost, that I would advise the Kenyan community that they just do it in our country instead of going to seek them abroad, because the returns might not be equivalent to what we spend on achieving this kind of education.
Now, if you compare someone who is getting his degree in Kenya and someone who is getting here, the person who is getting it here will have it rough. Because one, if you don't have enough money, you will not graduate at the same time that you expected to graduate. I know Kenya also has got its problems. But here, it is rough for those that are going to school. One, you have to work. 2, after you've graduated, you have already taken 2 years and you have acclimatized yourself to the surrounding. You've become a local. The next thing that you want to do is to continue to pay your house, and maybe you have a wife and you may have a child, and the child may be going to school. You are in America, you don't want to leave. It's not by choice, but because of things that you've done, you don't want to leave. But you don't want to leave, but you cannot get employment because you don't have the papers. So the problem continues. Yes, you have your degree. You may go back and get another one. But the problem is you are not going to be employed in the field that you want. So you end up being employed in the fields that you are not productive. So that is a disincentive.
While there are those who believe that the country has come of age and can now handle an ever-increasing population of young people yearning for knowledge, there are still those who think Kenya still lacks basic research facilities, and therefore they still need to look yonder for advanced degrees.
The cost of education in the United States is very high because it is a high quality education. And since 9/11, there have been changes, particularly in the admission of international students. The US as a country has been suspicious on the categories of the students that they allow in this country. And that has caused a reduction in the number of students that they accept every year. And with the change in the economic downturn, they are also very skeptical because they don't have enough money to offer any other international student who is coming in unless their areas of study are very specialized.
But I'm so happy what I see in Kenya. And what it means is that the Kenyan education may at one time, as to what I heard from Dr. Noah Midamba, one time we may not have Kenyans coming here to get their education because Noah Midamba, KCA University, the education system is going to parallel with the Bauer State University. They are going to do the same thing these people are doing here. The system would be the same. And if the education system here is creating more millionaires in America here, then the same system in KCA is going to create Kenya millionaires, just like it produced here. If we have the same goals that are being applied there, then the same goals will be achieved there. So I believe that Kenya is in the right path. Kenya is in the right path. A little tweaking here and there. I'm not a major in education system, but I know if you have an education that cannot make a student create, then we have a problem. In other words, we have to bring up students that are able to create instead of the students that are expecting to be employees. That's the system that we've had before.
One aspect of studying abroad that has been cited by many as a big impediment to majority of Kenyans has something to do with the costs associated with tuition and fees.
In the late 80s, Kenyan education, university education was for free, but not anymore. Because I know people who are taking parallel, degrees, who are paying quite some of money. But if you compare with what the people pay in America, that is just but some change. Because education in America is paying in dollars, and dollars are quite stronger than the Kenyan money. To go to, let's say, for your first degree here to get your bachelor's, you're going to look for not less than about $30,000, and that's quite a big sum in Kenyan money. It can only be affordable with families that are of high-ranking income in Kenya. So a Kenyan coming over here would, one, have scholarship or have money ready from the family that most of us who God have given intelligence but come from poor family cannot really afford.
When you talk about coming to the United States, the first thing you will be looking into is, why am I going to the United States? If you are coming to the United States as a student, what are you going to study in the United States? Is it something that you could not have studied in your own country? Two, when you have decided on what you are coming to study and you think it is viable and it is going to be useful to you as an individual and to your country, in particularly we are talking about Kenya, then you need to get the airfare, which will get you to the United States, because you need the fare to reach over there. The question is, how are you going to raise your airfare? Is it going to be out of your pocket? Is it going to be out of the government? Or is it going to be out of the friends? Or is it going to be out of your parents? Now the second thing is, once you have gotten your airfare and you have gotten all the appropriate papers which will land you in the United States, where are you going to stay? Are you going to pay for where you are going to sleep? Are you going to pay for the food you are going to eat? Are you going to pay for your education? Are you going to pay for your health care because you need insurance? So those are some of the issues you need to consider before you make up your mind to come and study in the United States. Now, on the point of just coming in and finding your way, well, that can be viewed in different aspects. How are you going to find your way in a strange land? One of the things is that you may think that you will get a job. But what kind of job are you going to get when you are supposed to be studying? When you are supposed to be taking your education seriously? You will talk about part-time job, but how much is it going to pay? And what you are being paid, is it enough to pay for your accommodation? Is it enough to pay for your food? Is it enough to cover for your education, tuition, or has somebody else paid for these things? The third thing you talked about is that there is this notion that you find your way and then you support people back at home. Now, where will you get the surplus to start supplying the people back at home? If the job you will be getting is something which will pay you $7 an hour and you are restricted on the number of hours you work as a student. So those are the things somebody should consider before you have this illusion that it is a land of milk and honey, and then you see that it is a land where we have the green grass. And even if you believe that they have the green grass, you should remember somebody is watering that lawn to make it green, and that water costs money. So if you are not ready to get the money for that water, then don't expect the grass around where you are going to stay to be green.
The cost of higher education in the US has become a big issue, not just for the international students, but also its nationals. After the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks in New York, many things changed for the immigrant community in the US.
There has quite been a transformation in American education. I remember vividly when 9/11 happened, I was in a classroom, and then, even though I was saying the fee was very high, I realized a few years later that it wasn't as much as it is now. Because before the 9/11, we could go to school paying over $2,000 per year in a given government university or college. Today, the same college charges probably 3 times as much. So the college education not only becomes so difficult financially, but also with the rules from the United States immigration. The rules were relaxed a little bit then. We used to go to school and you could take time off semester. This time around, as soon as you get here as a foreign student, there's what they call the service system. The service system takes care of you from the day that you get from the airport to the day that you leave this country after your education. But should you fall off school, then that gives you no chance to be in this country. In other words, you'll be ineligible to be in this country. Before, people could work in school. You could get a job in school, and some people could work, or without authority, but not anymore. So it has become so hard that to the point that if you're a student, you have to remain in school and do well for you to survive in this country. And once you're done, you leave and go back to your country.
Things were even made worse when the economy collapsed towards the end of 2008. Before then, it was easy to come to America, join college and get a job to finance your studies. Things are very different right now.
Because those who came here to go to school have got limitation. First of all, from Kenya. When they were coming here, some of them, or most of them, had only 1 year school fee. After 1 year what? You have to get a job. And for you to get a job, you need papers. That means the kind of job you are going to get is an underground kind of job. Or if you're lucky, you may be employed in school, and that means you are not going to be employed full-time. So you are not going to get enough school fees to pay for the school so that you can finish your education in an exact time that you are meant to do. So you find if you are supposed to graduate in 5 years, in 4 years, you will extend it to 6 years. You see, for those people at home, they know you are here. They know you are doing well. They know my son and daughter is going to school, but they don't know what you are going through.
I have dreams of coming to America. Right now they're in the process of processing their paperwork to come to go to education in America, what would be your humble advice in terms of the issues that they have to be alive to?
This is something that I've said for a long time, and I have an example. There's a lady that came here and she wanted to go into chemical engineering, and he came here and asked me, Nyunja, what should I do? I told her, Bridget, go look for someone who has become a chemical engineer and ask him or her how his life is or how her life is. Listen from them. This is an opportunity that so many Kenyans don't have. When they're leaving the country, when they're coming here, they don't have anybody who can counsel them and tell them, yes, what you are going to study is going to push you towards this line of life. We don't have anybody doing that to most of our students. So when they come here, they come and then they enter the university and they're taken to a counselor who is going to counsel them on what that counselor expects of them, not what the student wants. The student will be told, you know, you are a foreigner, we want you to take these subjects. And these subjects are going to take you towards this kind of profession. And this kind of profession is going to help you do ABCD. But you're a foreigner, that's one thing. You are a foreigner. Eh? There are certain things that will not just come like that. So we need these students before they come here. I wish the Kenya government can do that. They need to be counseled. And they need to have someone talk to them and say, yes, you are going to this university. Yes, you have picked this as the profession that you want to go and do. But these are the things that you are going to meet there. Now these things, these are the ways you can avoid them. These are the ways you can go through them, such that when they enter here, they enter knowing that someone has already talked to them regarding what they are going to do, instead of the school counselor who have the interest of the school, not the interest of the student at heart. This is something that needs to have been done a long time ago.
Again, as a country, again, we are opening another chapter in our history. The politics apparently won't be the same. But since you're an educationist, for that young man who is just graduated from high school and him or her and their parents are considering sending him or her to America to go to school, what would be your humble advice to that family?
My humble advice to that family is there is an age which is appropriate for a scholar or a student to leave the parent country and go to another country. And there is also an age which is dangerous, where he might come and the first thing he'll face is loneliness. That is the first thing. And under loneliness, you sometimes make unwise decisions. So, my advice is the best time to go out of the country, particularly the US or UK, is after achieving your undergraduate education in your parent country, if that is possible. You come when you are mature, you come when you are independent, you come when you can make constructive decisions which may not hurt you later in life.
We were talking about in these circumstances, how Africa's brain wastage is being done in the years. Give us a sense of what we call brain wastage, brain drain, your understanding of how that has become an issue.
Yes, the brain drain. The brain drain is an issue to Africa as a whole. But you see, The brain that we call has drained from Africa has never been wasted. It's still there. These are still African children. The question is, how do we bring it back? How do we gain it so that instead of calling brain drain, we call it brain gain? There is a gain already. These people have got a skill that Africa needs. For example, Kenya. The Kenyans here, they have something that the Kenya government needs to tap in. These are people with a skill. These are people who knows that they don't sleep for 8 hours. Ask any Kenyan here. These people that came here do not sleep for 8 hours. These people wake up very early in the morning. They know that day they are going to work 16 hours. They have made it a habit. That's again to Kenya. These are people who are result oriented. You give them a problem, they want a solution for that problem. No, we should not refer it any longer as brain drain. We should now start talking about brain gain. Kenya has got something to gain. And by saying Kenyan, I'm saying Kenyan because I'm a Kenyan. Africa has got what we call brain gain. We need these people to be utilized. Take anybody, take even these mamas that came here recently, even this gentleman that came here recently after they retired. Some of them have been working as watchmen, but they have more knowledge right now. The skill that they've acquired, that skill when taken back home, if you give them something to do, or just give them a reason to do something with what they've gained, I tell you, these people are going to succeed because they know that little time they have, if it is 8 hours, they want result within those 8 hours. I know that. I know it's something that Kenyan can use. The question is, who is going to get it? Is it people from this side? The people from this side are coward. You see, they're used to the system here. They are like mangoes. We are like mangoes, or oranges, to be exact. We are squeezing ourselves. Everything good about us is being taken out, unless someone comes from the Kenyan government and say, you know what, we can help you here, and the help is not to give us the job. The help is just to give us the direction for those who really want to go back to Kenya. Give them the direction.